Hello dear friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day filled with joy, positive energy, and happiness in your work and in your life. In the previous episodes, we watched Jack working tirelessly to finish the new home for himself and Tu Tien. During the months of Tu Tien's pregnancy, Jack cared for her wholeheartedly, showering her with love even while his company faced many challenges. But love and responsibility gave him strength and he stood firm. And now in this part of the story, Jack has decided to set aside a sum of money to furnish that home their future home. Household items, appliances, the essentials of daily life. Not just to complete a house, but to build a true home. So let's begin today's story. That morning in the small kitchen, soft sunlight filtered through the window and fell onto the table. Mrs. Ly had been up since dawn preparing a warm glass of milk for her pregnant daughter-in-law. She gently placed it in front of Tu Tien, her voice full of care. "Drink this, dear, it will help you feel better." Tu Tien took it, her eyes closing slightly from the nausea. Still, she managed to smile. Though her face was pale, gratitude shone clearly. She knew the affection her mother-in-law gave her was no different from a real mother's love. Mrs. Ly sat down beside her, lightly patting her shoulder. She didn't say much, but her eyes overflowed with empathy. She herself had once endured the hardships of pregnancy, so she understood what Tu Tien was going through. The two of them sat quietly sipping the milk. In that small space, there was only the faint fragrance of warm milk, the ticking of the clock, and the steady rhythm of a peaceful morning. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking the silence. It was Jack calling from the office. His voice came through the line, calm, steady, but warm with excitement. "Mom, today I'd like to take Tien out for a bit. I want to bring her to choose some things for our new home." On the other end, Mrs. Ly chuckled softly, her voice gentle. "Go ahead, my children. The house will be ready in time, but what matters most is that you are happy together." Hearing this, Tu Tien lowered her head slightly, one hand resting on her belly. In her eyes glimmered both anticipation and joy. That short exchange over the phone was enough to ease Jack's heart. He knew that behind him, there was always a strong, steady support. Later that afternoon, when work slowed down, Jack drove straight home. His car stopped at the gate. He stepped out, opened the door, and greeted his wife with a gentle smile. Tu Tien climbed in her eyes, shining with happiness, mixed with a trace of shyness. The car started rolling along the long road. Outside the window, the late afternoon sun poured down, painting the sky gold. Inside, the air was soft, filled with the sound of their quiet conversation. "Honey, the company is still facing difficulties. Isn't it a bit too soon to be shopping now?" Tu Tien's voice carried her worry, her hands nervously clutching her clothes. Jack glanced at her, his eyes firm, though his smile stayed tender. "Don't worry. I've set aside a special fund just for this. Our new home needs to be complete, so when you and Mom move in, nothing will be missing." Hearing that, Tu Tien exhaled a long breath as though a burden had lifted. The worry in her face softened, replaced by a faint but genuine smile. She said nothing more, only leaned back into the seat, letting the peace of the moment wash over her. After a while, the car stopped in front of a large appliance store. Jack walked around, opened the door for his wife, and held out his hand. Her small palm rested in his, and in that moment, she felt safer than ever. Inside the store, bright lights shone, and the hum of voices filled the space. They walked hand in hand down the aisles, occasionally pausing to take a closer look. At one point, Tu Tien's eyes lit up at a gleaming product, but then dimmed quickly. Jack noticed, placed his hand gently on her shoulder, and smiled. "Don't overthink. I want you to feel secure. Leave everything to me." Just that simple sentence softened her heart. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with trust. They continued walking, talking quietly, laughter slipping out here and there. They didn't rush. Every time they paused, Jack would tilt his head and ask, "What do you think? Do you like it?" And sometimes Tu Tien would simply nod with a shy smile, her eyes sparkling with happiness. To them, these items were not just household things. They were pieces of the future promises of a life that would be warm and complete. When they had finished choosing, they sat at the consultation desk. The salesperson printed out a long receipt. The final number glowed clearly, $5,000 USD. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Tu Tien flinched slightly, her eyes uneasy. But Jack remained calm. He pulled his card from his wallet, fingers tightening just a little, face steady. The machine beeped, soft but clear. Jack turned to his wife, his voice low and firm. "Money can always be earned again, but you and Mom, there's only one of you." Tu Tien bit her lip, her eyes shimmering. A tear threatened but was caught by a smile instead. It was a smile trembling, fragile, but radiant with happiness. The staff handed them the receipt, offering congratulations on their future home. Jack thanked them, tucked the paper carefully into his wallet, and together the two of them walked away, still hand in hand. Back home, Jack gave the order form to his mother. Mrs. Ly held it, her eyes lighting up as she read line by line. She nodded slowly, a gentle smile spreading across her lips. "Everything seems complete. But what makes me happiest is seeing the two of you thinking for each other. That's all I need." Hearing that Tu Tien hugged her mother-in-law tightly, her voice thick with emotion. "The new house isn't finished yet, but I already feel I have a true home, because I have you and I have Jack." The three of them sat together, laughter echoing through the small house. Outside, the sun slipped behind the trees, leaving behind a golden evening full of warmth. That day, Jack spent $5,000, a significant sum, especially when his company still faced hardship. But for him, it wasn't about money. It was about responsibility, about love, about keeping his promise to his wife and his mother. For Tu Tien, luxury was never the goal. What she needed was love, a husband's hand to hold, and the comfort of building a future together. And that day, she had it all. For Mrs. Ly, nothing mattered more than seeing her children happy. Her eyes followed them with simple joy, full of faith and affection. The new house was still unfinished, the appliances not yet delivered. But the home itself was already there in every glance, every smile, every touch filled with love. And as the three of them sat together, their laughter filling the little kitchen, it was clear happiness doesn't come from material things. It comes from love, from the simple comfort of being together.